Okay, so thank you everybody for joining today. Welcome to the Grand Prix Chamber of Commerce online series, Journey to Inclusiveness. And we are very pleased to have you today listening to one more inspirational story. And remember that the Chamber of Commerce embraces diversity and also empowers anything that has to do with inclusiveness, because that's pretty much the key for all the communities to succeed. So today it is our pleasure to have Rafia Zaman as our guest speaker, and I will let you know a little bit of Rafia. And Rafia was born and raised in Bangladesh. She did her high school graduation there, and she was one of the top 20 of the merit list. She has a bachelor and master's degree in economics from the University of Dhaka. She got married in 2001, and she's mother of 3 kids. She came to America in 2016, and her parents came to the US in 1998, and that's how they brought her here. She worked in a retail store first, then in a bank, and now has been working for Edward Jones Investment for the last 2 years. She is a cancer survivor, and she got diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2016, and now she can proudly say that she is cancer-free. She is a regular donor for many nonprofit organizations such as St. Jude Cancer Institute, American Heart Association, Grand Prix YMCA, and she's looking forward to work with the Rotary and other organizations as well. She wants to give back to the community and raise her kids and see them having a better life. With this, I'm going to turn it over to Rafia Zaman. Thank you so much, Rafia. Go ahead.
Thank you, Maria. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start off by saying thank you for having me on as a guest speaker today, and also the Grand Prix Chamber of Commerce, everyone who is present today, and my community, to give me the opportunity to talk about my life, family, story, and above all, represent my country, Bangladesh. I'm from Bangladesh, which is a country of Southeast Asia, and it is marked by lush greenery and many waterways. On the southern coast of Bangladesh, we have the Sundarban, which is an enormous mangrove forest that is shared with eastern India and is home to the Royal Bengal tiger. Bangladesh got its independence in 1971, and we are the only nation who fought for independence, being motivated to preserve our native language, Bangla. And February 21st is our International Language Day. We take pride in our spicy food. A lot of it is fish-based, as well as our colorful ethnic fashion. Our Parliament House is surrounded by water, and one of our historical war monuments is located very close to where I was born. Many parts of Bangladesh are in a swamp, so many people living in villages still travel by boat. As you already heard, that I was born and raised in Dhaka, Bangladesh, which is the capital of Bangladesh. I graduated from high school in Dhaka and ranked among the top 20 high school scholars in Bangladesh that year, and was awarded by the former Prime Minister during that time. Then I obtained my bachelor's and master's degree in economics from Dhaka University. Now I would like to tell you the story of my family, starting with my grandparents. My father lost his mother during the War of Independence, and their family home was burned down because most of his family members were war patriots. My mother also lost his father in the same war. So I never saw my paternal grandmother or my maternal grandfather. Although I didn't witness the war, I saw how my country grew its economy from poverty to becoming an emerging market country. As I stated earlier, I never met two of my grandparents, but I shared a wonderful relation with my paternal grandfather. My grandfather worked for the railways. His eyesight was very poor, so he had to wear very thick glasses, and it was impossible for him to see anything without them. So when he visited my family, I was his walking partner, and I was assigned some tasks to help him, like reading the newspaper, watching the news, giving him all of his medicines on time, and the most important task was to write all of his letters. At that time in Bangladesh, writing letters was the only form of communication, unless someone had a telephone, which was rare at that time. Back in my childhood, the mailman bringing mail to the house was a form of excitement and curiosity for us. The mail could bring good or bad news or even wedding invitations. We always gathered to read and respond to mail as a family. My grandfather always believed in me and was proud of my academic achievements. The most unique thing about my grandfather was that he built an orphanage for the poor and homeless kids in our village, Rampur. That was his dream. And after his death in the early 2000s, his 10 children and many grandchildren put their efforts and contributions together to grow it from where my grandfather had left it. Back in Bangladesh, I grew up in a middle class family. My father was a small retail business owner and my mother was a housewife. Her family owned an ice cream factory, and I grew up seeing them make many flavors of ice creams and popsicles. And during special occasions and school holidays, we helped them make special ice creams, and that was also a treat for us. And another recreational activity for us was to rent movies and a VCR, so all of the neighbors could watch movies together. My mom has always been a very strong woman and an amazing mother. Her dedication towards her two daughters and her siblings, who she looked after like her own children after the passing of her father, inspires me to be a better human and better mother. My parents immigrated to the United States in 1998 to build a better future. First, my paternal aunt and her family immigrated to the US, and then she applied to bring all of her siblings and their families to the US. My parents have called Arlington their home ever since. Although I was on my family's immigration application, I was not able to immigrate with them as I was 22 years old and over the age of dependency. Not being able to come to the US with them was one of the hardest phases of life my family and I went through. As a young girl who never stayed away from her family, to suddenly have to start thinking on her own and taking on her own responsibilities was not easy at that time for me or for my family. At the time, I stayed with a relative and pursued my master's. We all experienced adversity during that phase, but we grew from that. I remember after my parents immigrated, All of my phone conversations with my mom ended in tears. In 1999, my mom and sister went back to Bangladesh for over a year, and in 2001, I got married after completing my master's. My parents also struggled a lot after immigrating to the US. They experienced a cultural shock and language barrier. They worked hard and endless hours in retail or food service trying to provide for their family here and me back in Bangladesh. Back then, there was no GPS, and my dad would be scared to drive far, fearing he would get lost. At first, my parents even walked to work or had a family member drop them to work before they obtained their driver's license. My sister, she is also present here, who now works for Texas Trust Credit Union, had a transition phase of her own. When she immigrated here at the age of 5, she barely spoke English and had to start her schooling where he did not understand anything and was scared to go back. Feeling scared and isolated in school, she begged and pleaded my parents to not to send her to school, which resulted in a truancy letter. And then my uncle had to call the school to explain the situation, and the teachers paid more attention to help her. Since then, she has come a long way, obtaining her bachelor's and master's degrees and pursuing a career in marketing. But she still, to this day, has to work extra hard to hold her place in the community and represent her ideas, ambition, and values. Interestingly, my grandfather lived with my parents and sister in America. And despite living in two different continents, she also had similar responsibilities towards my grandfather, like giving him his medicines or applesauce in the afternoon, as I did back in Bangladesh. My parents and sister have been living here for over 20 years, but life is still not easy for them or other immigrants. I moved here 5 years ago, and I'm still battling the same things my parents did and still do. As I stated earlier, I got married in 2001. My husband served in the Bangladesh Army for over 20 years and served for United Nations on 2 mission trips. Being a military wife gave me a lot of experience and made me more confident, mature, and gave me a different attitude towards life. I was able to travel with my husband to the Middle East while he was on one of his UN trips. And that is when I got to experience my first account of feeling like a minority in a foreign country. I always wanted to pursue higher education. After my first child born in 2003, I wanted to finish my MBA. But it was getting hard. It was getting difficult for me to balance that and raise a newborn baby at the same time. So I had to drop out of the MBA program. Regardless of the title of a housewife and the expectations and compromises that come with that title in Bangladesh, being a mother made raising my children was my priority. I also have a son who was born in 2007 and another daughter who was born in 2014. After becoming citizens of the United States in 2004, my parents reapplied for me to immigrate to the US with my husband and at that time our firstborn. In 2016, after a long wait, my family was given immigrant visas and we moved to Arlington. We immigrated here with the same goal as every immigrant, to do something better and different with our lives and raise our kids so they can have better education and life. After immigrating here, I experienced firsthand the stories I heard from my family about how hard it was to fit in. But I wanted to change the story for myself. I wanted my story to not just be about the struggles, but also about the success. For that, I had to conquer my fears and learn things like we were starting off as a child. We had to learn the basic things like how to pay for groceries at the checkout line using American currency, which one the quarter was versus the dime, drive a car on the right side of the road and not the left, fill up our own gas, as there is no chauffeur here who would do that for us like it was in Bangladesh. Not only us, our three kids also struggle and are still struggle while getting acclimated. Initially, they had a hard time making friends, speaking English fluently, and feeling like minorities because in Bangladesh, almost everyone had the same skin color as them. My youngest daughter had the same experience with school as my sister did 23 years ago, as both of them moved here when they were toddlers. Yet, both learned how to get acclimated the fastest, as kids have the ability to pick up on things faster. But we were lucky that my parents and sister were with us to give us guidance and advice. As my husband and I had a hard time understanding where to start. We didn't know how much our higher education or his work experience would be worth here. We needed to support our family, and like my parents, we also had to start from bottom up, that too during our mid ages. That experience was stressful, but it gave us better perspective, judgment, passion, and dedication to reach our goal. Aside from working very hard to fulfill our dreams, we took many opportunities to travel as a family. Since all 8 of us were united after many years, we traveled to New York, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, Grand Canyon, and Los Angeles. Our trips proved that the United States is as different and diverse from sea to sea as its population. I had to start somewhere. So the first job I applied for was in retail. And the first question my hiring manager asked me was, Rafia, I saw your resume. Why did you apply for this role? I answered that it would be a good opportunity for me to learn about people and the American culture because I would meet hundreds of pupils who visited the store every day. I eventually got hired for that job. And I was happy because it was a starting point for me. I learned a lot while working there, but it wasn't smooth. A few months later, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and I had to undergo 2 surgeries followed by radioactive iodine therapy. and a few more small procedures after that. The management at my retail job changed by the time I recovered from cancer, and I didn't feel comfortable working there. So I decided, since life gave me another opportunity, I wanted to use it to work in the finance industry and make use of my degrees. My husband, on the other hand, who holds a master's degree in engineering from Bangladesh, also had started in retail while he obtained certification in IT and is currently working in the IT sector as a QA analyst. After I left my retail job, I was fortunate that an opportunity opened up at a bank and I was hired on as a personal banker. I worked for that bank for 2 years and then I looked for the opportunity to grow my skill sets even further. While I was living in Bangladesh, I wanted to work in investments and help people grow their money. Coincidentally, a representative from Edward Jones reached out to me on LinkedIn and shared their culture and the job descriptions, and I loved it. In December 2019, I was hired on as a financial advisor trainee, and in fall 2020, I obtained all licenses and certifications required to start my practice as a financial advisor. I'm happy to see the inclusiveness at Edward Jones. They, along with the Chamber, have welcomed many people from diverse backgrounds like myself and helped them to grow. Being a cancer survivor, I always wanted to do something for cancer research. And that's why I'm a regular donor of the St. Jude's Cancer Institute as well as the American Heart Association. As I'm blessed, my mother survived a heart attack in 2011 and is still with us. I'm eager to get involved in the Grand Prairie community as I bought a house in the Miralagos community and work in the area. One of my goals is to help guide and be a cheerleader for new immigrants from my country as well as other Asian countries. As I understand how they're feeling and what they're going through, and I can provide insights using my experience. What is diversity and what diversity can bring? Diversity can bring many things. It brings better perspective, better judgment, fun, cultural festivals and traditions, new fashion, and even delicious food. America is a melting pot and has always welcomed people into its land of opportunities. Here we can find people from every corner of the world, and I believe what makes America strong and special is that we all work together for this country, regardless our native language, ethnicity, culture, or religion. That is why it is important to welcome immigrants to this country who can bring a lot to the table and make America different from every other country. If we can look beyond color, race, or religion, we'll see that ultimately we are all the same people who are trying to do what we can for ourselves and our society. Our diversity unifies us because it's about telling stories and sharing experiences to build relationships and connect each other. The more we share our stories and include diversity, the better we all unify as Americans. As a Bangladeshi immigrant living in America, I'm proud not just to call this country my own, but also to be able to add to the narrative of this country and represent my heritage, knowing my children are growing up in a country with the surety of the promise that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As a parent, I believe that we must spend time to listen to our children, our future, and help them deal with the challenges and bullying they face while fitting in, and make sure they're proud to represent who they are and their heritage, and use diversity as their strength, not weakness. Thank you everyone for being such a nice and wonderful audience.
Thank you so much, Rafia, for sharing your experience, for sharing your story. The floor is open for any questions that the audience might have.
It was great. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Rafia's sister Washima. If there are no questions, I just wanted to make a comment. I'm actually fighting back tears because I'm so proud of my sister and where she is today. That's why I have my video off, because you guys don't want to see me crying right now. I have seen her not be able to immigrate with us at age 5. And I've seen her and my mom deal with the grief that came with having a child live 2,000 miles away. And I've seen her grow, and I've seen her deal with the pain. A lot of people understood, some people didn't, but I've seen her battle life as an academic, and I've seen her deal with what a housewife in Bangladesh has to deal with all of the expectations and the compromises one has to make. I've seen her deal with all of the struggles that she had to incur while living here as an immigrant, and she's dealing with that every day. And it makes me so proud to see her and my brother-in-law practically have to start over for the first 3 years of their lives after they moved here, be so successful and have jobs that meet their qualifications. I've seen her battle cancer, I've seen her raise her kids, all while acclimating to the culture shock here in America. And I have seen her weak and vulnerable, watching her from the window bed in her hospital room, fighting to hang on to life when she had cancer, to be stronger than I ever expected, to pass all of the certifications and everything she needed to for her job as a financial advisor. And what a way to pull it off. You know, people don't get second chances in life, and I feel like she got 2 second chances, one after moving here and the other one after surviving cancer. And today I'm so proud to see that she has the life a National Merit High School Scholar who was awarded by the Prime Minister a couple of years ago. You know, that's the life that she should be living in, and she's finally able to achieve that. And she's a strong woman working really, really hard to support her career, support her children. And she stands as an example for people immigrating here, because you see an immigrant and you automatically put them into a box. You automatically set limits for their achievements. And she's in a very, very quick amount of time, not just battled cancer, but, you know, recovered and is working in her passion in her industry. And I'm so proud to be her sister. And I'm so proud that she's able to share her story with all of you. Thank you.
Oh, see, now you made Haley and everybody else cry. Way to go. That's it. I turn my camera off before I start to cry.
I think we can all agree that you make us all want to be a better person. I listened to your story, and I'm just so humbled by your bravery. It's like my heart is pounding right now. I just can't imagine everything that you went through, having your family in another country, and then you sharing about how you just accepted when you got here, okay, it's like I'm starting over as a little kid. I'm going to have to adapt, and not knowing what side of the road to drive on, not knowing how to go to the grocery store, pump gas. I can't even imagine that. And so I'm very humbled by your bravery. And my question for you is, I really believe that your story needs to be shared with more people. So we have recorded it. And are you okay with us posting it on social media and on our website so that we can share with others as well so they can watch?
Yes, definitely. You can do that.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there any other question? Okay. Rafia, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And personally, I want to tell you, I know how it is. And I know how it is to deal with that. And to have your children telling you, I don't want to go to school because nobody understands me. And nobody wants to sit next to me. I know how it is. And I'm very proud of you. Thank you for inspiring me and also for reminding me that that we are here because of all the effort that we have gone through and all the things that have make us grow and be in the place that we are at. We deserve it. Thank you, Rafa.
You're welcome.
And yes, you made me cry.
Oh. I think Washima did that.
That's why I turned on my camera. Okay, so if there is no other question, I think we are ready to close this meeting. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining. To you, Rafia, for sharing your story. And see you guys next time in another episode of this wonderful series. Thank you.
And thank you to Rafia's
Maria.
sister too. Thank you, Rafia's
Thank you.
sister.
Thank you,
Bye,
Rafia.
everyone. See you all.